ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਐਨਾਲਿਸਿਸ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਖਾਸ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਰ ਦੀ ਡਿਸਕਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਿਆ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਦੀ ਚੋਣ ਲੜ ਰਹੇ ਨੇਤਾ, ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ 'ਤੇ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੀਜ਼ਾ ਰੈਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਹ ਹਾਜ਼ਰ ਨੇ। ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 3 ਮੇਜਰ ਰਾਜਨੀਤਿਕ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਇੱਕ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਪਾਰਟੀ, ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਅਤੇ ਤੀਸਰੇ ਨੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ NDP ਪਾਰਟੀ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਓਫੀਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਆਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਰੋਲ ਅਦਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਓਫੀਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਆਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਸਿਰਫ ਇਨਟਰਮ ਲੀਡਰ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ, ਅਤੇ ਫਾਈਨਲ ਲੀਡਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਦੀ ਰੇਸ ਜੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੋਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਮਈ 2017 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਣੀ ਹੈ। ਉਸ ਰੇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਨੇ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਲੀਜ਼ਾ ਰਾਈਟ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਹਾਜ਼ਰ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। So first of all, I would like to welcome you in this Prime Asia studio.
Thank you very much.
So because we have not too much time, that's why I'm asking you the direct question.
Absolutely.
First of all, there are 14 candidates still now in the leadership race of the Conservative Party.
Yeah.
And you are one of them.
I am.
Why you consider you are the best one?
I think I'm the best one because I combine 4 different things that are going to help our party win against Justin Trudeau's leadership in 2019. One of them is I have leadership experience, because I have been in Mr. Harper's cabinet for 7.5 years, and I was the Chief Executive Officer for the Toronto Port Authority, as well as the Toronto Billy Bishop Airport for about 8 years. I also have lots of experience when I was a cabinet minister in the fields of labour, in natural resources, and most recently I was Minister of Transport for Canada.
And rail safety also?
And rail safety, exactly.
Okay.
I was involved in rail safety in the Port of Toronto. Lac-Megantic, the terrible accident that happened, I was responsible for helping clean up and as well changing the rules going forward so that it can't happen again in Canada. And I'm very proud of the role that we took. So I have lots of experience in making tough decisions in really difficult circumstances.
Oh, that's good.
I have a very interesting life history. I grew up in a small part of Canada called Cape Breton Island, and I was raised by my grandparents because my mother wasn't able to raise me. And I learned to live at a very young age as a senior citizen. So I know what it's like to have to make ends meet. I know what it's like to struggle. And I know living in Milton, Ontario as well, people just want to be able to live their lives and raise their children, look after their parents, and not pay a lot of taxes and not be bound by regulation. And I understand that life, and that's the life I want to make sure that we continue to have. And my vision of the Conservative Party is a lot like where I live in Milton. It's incredibly multicultural.
Yes, sir.
Everyone works so well together. We have great leadership from people like Tigerjeet Singh and Tiger Ali Singh, who are family to me. And I want to have a Conservative Party that looks like the people that vote for me in Milton, and that means everybody included, and that makes us better.
That's very good. As you said that you are going to lead and you can capable of that the winning of the 2019 federal elections.
That's right. Yes.
The last elections, it is generally said that Conservative Party is defeated only because of their anti-immigration policy.
Yeah.
So what will be your immigration thought in that way?
I learned a lot from the 2015 campaign, and what I learned is we need to keep the trust of the people that vote for us. And there are some pieces of legislation that we didn't talk about very clearly with people, and it made them afraid, and therefore they didn't vote for us. So what I've learned and what I will do is make sure everybody knows that there is a place for them in the Conservative Party, and that together we make it better. And for example, in Motion 103, there's a lot of discussion around what it means and how people are going to be voting. And for me, I am going to be voting against it because I think if we're going to talk about religious intolerance in the country, we have to include all aspects of religion. We have to include Sikh, we have to include Hindu, we have to include Christian, we have to include Jewish, we have to include everybody that may be feeling discrimination when we study it, and that makes more sense. So that's why I'm more in favor of the motion that we put forward as the Conservative Party than I am of the motion that was put forward by the Liberals.
But the Liberal Party think that you are just harming that motion which is already there, and what was the need to put the other motion?
Well, we voted in favor of condemning Islamophobia back in October.
Yes.
This motion just seeks to continue to have that same conversation. I don't deny that if there's an increased incidence of hatred towards religious groups, and it's not just not just Muslim groups, it's other groups as well. We need to study that in Canada because we're a tolerant nation, but it should be for everybody, not just for one group.
That's asking only for Muslims. It's not for the other communities?
It's very specific with respect to Islamophobia. It does talk later about other communities, but they want to be specific on that. And what our solution is just let's make it broader and more general, and that Islamophobia is one of the aspects that we're looking at, including anti-Semitism, anti-Hindu, anti-Sikh, anti-Christian, everything.
Yeah, instead of putting the new motion,
Yeah.
you can put some amendments also in that.
Well, we'd like to, but the person who has moved the motion, Ikra Khalid, who's from the riding neighboring mine in Milton, she's actually said that she won't accept any amendments.
Oh.
And as a result, we brought our own motion forward. Now, we've lots of time. We don't actually vote on this until, I think, April or May of this year.
Yes.
So we'll continue to work with the MPs and try to get to a motion that's going to be inclusive of everybody.
There's one more related question.
Yes.
That is of ban of niqab, especially in the citizenship ceremony, etc.
Yeah.
What will be the point of view of the Conservative Party now?
Yeah.
Because it did a lot of harm in the last elections.
There's a lot of discussion around it. I'm a lawyer. I was trained as a lawyer, and I have a master's in chemistry as well. And the key for me was, in a citizenship ceremony, it is that moment in time in court when you're taking an oath. And if you're testifying in a court of law, then the rule in the court is you must remove the niqab in order to hear the testimony. And I think the same applies in a citizenship ceremony. So I supported that part of our platform in 2015. Now the Supreme Court has made its ruling, and that's what the Supreme Court says. So we move on, and we continue on. So I wouldn't be introducing any legislation like that if I were leader of the party.
You will follow the Supreme Court guidelines now?
Yeah, I'd follow Supreme Court guidelines. I think we have to. I think we're bound by it at this point. But certainly, for me, it was very important to encourage people when they take that oath in that moment in time that they take it seriously and that we can see them taking the oath. And I would hope that people would do that.
No, that's right. That's very
Yeah.
good point of view. There is one more point. There's one
Yeah.
fear in the minds of the minorities, especially after coming Donald Trump in our neighboring
Yeah.
country and the Brexit in the United Kingdoms. There are a lot of nationalist parties, especially in the Western world, who are using this phenomena like that anti-immigration, like that any type of nationalist feeling, etc. What will be the view of Conservative Party in 2019 elections?
Yeah.
The people think they can also use the same time of stance which the parties are using there.
That's an excellent question. And it's the most important question. What are we going to be talking about, and how do we look what's happening around the world and apply it to a very different Canadian standard? Our immigration policy that we had in place with Jason Kenney and with Stephen Harper made a lot of sense. We brought in, even during the Great Recession, we didn't close our doors to immigration because we knew that we need immigration to grow the economy. So we brought in economic immigrants. We did family reunification, incredibly important, especially in Milton. So important to have families reunited here in Canada. And we had 10% of refugees, and that was a small amount, but it was our portion to the world. In fact, we brought in more refugees than any other country in the world.
Yes.
That was a good balance. That worked, about 250,000 immigrants a year. It works for Canada. We can absorb, we can integrate, and we grow our economy and makes it better. So I would continue down that path. The people who are moving towards the kinds of things that Mr. Trump talks about, they're feeling some pain. They're worried about something, and they're worried about their economy, and they have fear about their families doing well. And I just want them to know that I understand what they're talking about, but I want to help you. And I'm going to help you. And it has to be about being more hopeful than it does being about exclusive. And we've had the right balance in the past in immigration. We should go back to it. And we should continue to grow the economy the way that we can and reunite families. And it's the right way to deal with it.
That's right. It means it's clear that the Canadian Conservative Party is not going to follow the UK and American stance which the parties follow there.
No, not under my leadership at all. I think the only way to win elections in Canada is by having that big tent where people feel comfortable and we can talk about what unites us as Canadians, what makes us the same. And I'm very open to that. And that's the kind of conservative I am, and that's the kind of party I would lead.
That's good.
Thank
You have remained the finance critic also.
Yeah.
So there is one
Yes.
question regarding the CETA,
Yes.
which the European Parliament has passed a few years back. So what your government started and initiated this process, and now it's completed.
Yeah.
What is your view regarding it?
I'm so excited that it's passed. Mr. Harper and Mr. Ed Fast, who is from British Columbia, did a great job bringing CETA to its final conclusion, and I'm really happy the Liberals continued on it. That to me is a good sign that
Yes.
the Canadian government can move from one party to another and still do the things important. It's going to increase trade for all of us in Canada, and it's going to help create jobs. And that's what we care about. We care about our children having jobs, and we care about looking after our parents, and we keep our own jobs. And those are the positive things. And we should continue to look at trade. We have an opportunity to look at Trans-Pacific Partnership. We always have opportunities to talk about our current trade agreement with the United States and Mexico, and the government should bolster it. I'm a free trader. I believe in trade. I believe
right.
in adding skills.
In that way, you are different from Donald Trump in that way.
I am different. And the most important thing with Mr. Trump is we have to keep that border open. And so much of our trade in Ontario, where I'm from, goes across that border. So many trucks on that highway all the time, back and forth between Ontario and Michigan, and moving so much trade. We have to work with our partners in the United States to keep it open. And I know it's the same here in British Columbia. You have to keep that border open.
There's one point in CETA, especially that it favors the multinational corporations. The local governments or the state governments cannot control them if they are passing any law against them.
Right.
So what is that fear in the minds of the people? How you would clear that?
That's a really good question. That's what kind of held up the CETA negotiations in Europe for a period of time. There was a section of the society who were worried about what it would mean to them. And that's the complaint that's put forward a lot by the NDP or by the Green Party. But I know this, that the overall good for the country in this deal is very apparent. It's going to boost our economy. And we do have means within this trade agreement to ensure that people are protected. And that's what it's about. And if you need to give corporate security in order to get better trade, you can measure it and you can manage it. And it's a part of the trade deal, but the bigger part of the trade deal is allowing people to be able to move their goods at lower taxes. So we can sell at lower taxes and we can buy at lower taxes, and that's better for Canadians.
Oh, that's very good. So it's very good you were here.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for coming here.
My pleasure.
So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I wish
My
you all
pleasure.
the best.
Thank you.
ਸੋ ਇਹ ਸਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਲੀਸਾ ਰੈਟ ਜੀ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਮਸਲਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ, ਘੱਟ ਗਿਣਤੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਮਸਲਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਕਲੀਅਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਅਗੇਂਸਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੋਈ ਅਜਿਹੀ ਪਾਲਿਸੀ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਦੇ ਹੱਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਨ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਘੱਟ ਗਿਣਤੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਕੰਸਰਨ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਲੋਸ ਹੋਵੇ। ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਮਿਲਾਂਗੇ ਨਵੇਂ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਵੈਰੀ ਮਚ।
Thank you.